it's just it's not just a technology change; it's a cultural change for a lot of organizations as well. And I think that's why we'll probably see slower progress within enterprise than maybe on the consumer side.
And you also see that consumer and enterprise are very important to go hand in hand again in terms of these tools and such as well. Like in the last couple of years, or let's say decade, you saw a lot of, hey, everything is enterprise focused, but now you see kind of the shift of AI is being used as a consumer, and then
Yeah.
they kind of bring it into the workspace, into the enterprise as well.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the latest impact of AI Explored. Today we have Christian Brinkhoff. Christian, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, James. Thanks, Gayon, for having me. Looking forward to it.
Great. So, just to get started, so when you think about AI and Cloud PC, what do you feel is going to be the biggest feature that kind of feels normal by the end of 2026?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, just for the folks that don't know me, I'm working for Microsoft. I'm in the AI Windows Cloud engineering team here in Redmond, and one of my day jobs is do exactly kind of what you just said as a question, is finding that next kind of feature that really helps users to be more productive with AI. Infusing it in an existing habit of a user, so transforming an existing feature in Windows or in another component to like be AI enabled, or a completely new kind of set of features as well, which can transform the way how we do work. And that's pretty much what we see with agents and things like that. Um, it's a good question. Um, I think we're still a little like from an kind of, hey, adoption perspective and usage from like traditional users in the workspace. In the second phase of kind of AI, where experimentation is a lot of happening, Copilot is being used as like an really like an assistant, right, to help you guiding through your day, doing summarization, doing creation of documents of, hey, you're in a meeting, summarize this, or meeting notes and teams, all these things, right? It's very useful. um, the other part, I think the next wave of AI, what you will see in 2026 and onwards, is really taking some of that workload that you're doing inside your, like, let's say Windows PC, and have an agent doing that for you. And then you can always go in and in terms, it's called human in the loop, but take control of what's happening there or kind of navigate through. And then as well, eventually maybe in like a phase 3 or plus 3, do it completely autonomous. And that's what we see with a new platform feature enhancement we did with Windows 365 for agents, where like your cloud PC runs in a data center with a like very scalable, fast kind of provisioning capability to spin up like the specific PC in the cloud for the specific agentic workload. But then with an like model in between, and that could be, for example, the OpenAI operator model, but all the other players here have like KUA models as well that operates just naturally as a user. And I think that's the fascinating part that you would see unfolding more and more in 2026, is taking some of that natural kind of language kind of base workload, kind of specific parts of how you do and interact with Windows, which we currently do with keyboard and mouse, right? Like, I think that didn't change for like 30 years
No.
or so. There's even a fun video of that, of a person saying that, hey, if you're using your keyboard for like 5 years, the letters are kind of like slipping off, like, because it's like used so much. And so yeah, I think that's one kind of big thing I see kind of shifting as well in the EUC space. James, you and I have been, and getting you as well, in the EUC space, and
Yeah.
shifting from EUC to kind of EUC and the age of AI. I think is a very fascinating shift to see on how we use like like a virtual machine in the cloud, and use it not for like 20 or like 8 hours a day, or spin it up for 24/7, but only for the task you do, and then maybe do something else, or use a mobile device in between, and combine that and offload that to the cloud, and finish that, and maybe use a Copilot UI in between as an entry level point as well. So So that's one, and the other part, sorry, I see, and like the shift is infusing AI in existing features of like Windows, like
Mhm.
search and other features as well.
Okay. No, that's good, and it kind of ties into what we've been seeing and saying is, we've talked about agents, the good and the bad, 'cause
And the ugly.
yeah, that's it, yeah. Um, but obviously, the potential is there, but it's kind of just understanding kind of that they do need very specific guidelines to run, and you don't just let an agent go off and work on itself. It's the guardrails are very much in place for it.
No, you're spot on, and security, compliance, responsible AI are terms that you hear more often these days, and it's top of mind in building these agents. You of course don't want to have like prompt injection or other bad intruders happening, and then take over, let's say, the controls, and then do whatever a user can do in the environment. So for that reason, I foresee that in that kind of transformation there will be a whole new different set of delegated controls, ACLs, a revamp of how we do access control, user kind of control management,
Mm,
and really build that kind of digital worker kind of exercise of an agentic user kind of like workload equivalent of a user. Because yeah, assigning like permissions to an app and elevate that for certain levels in order I know where to click because I do this all the time versus just narrow it to exactly that workload and
mm,
make sure that you cannot go right and left in terms of, hey, why should you do that? Like I think the beauty of an agent, and especially like a computer using agent kind of version of that, is that you can correlate different apps as well. So you can kind of go in an office, you can go in your line of business application, and then it correlates that all together as you naturally do, and then finish kind of the summarization or the task. But it's like across one, two, maybe three different layers of applications in your environment. And I think that's super useful, but also very much like where you need to be very cautious on the permissions and such. And I see that being the next shift as well. And like your whole new RBAC kind of ACL model is being kind of transformed into like agentic workloads. So you can kind of securely control that in a different way, of course, technically, but
mm.
functionally it works kind of exactly the same, but it's secure by default.
So
Yeah, and it's
essentially,
more process based instead of identity based. So you have a process that
Yeah,
does a thing.
correct.
mm,
It just
Correct.
gives the process time to run, and when AI is done, kill, and all ACLs are done, and you have no the process done. So the AI does not need any access to anything.
Yeah, you're spot on. And we kind of did that with UAC, right? A little bit like UAC kind of back in the days, like everybody was like local administrator and you could click everywhere. And no, of course, nobody should do that. But that was like the way of doing it 10, 15 years ago. And then UAC came around Vista, I think, or Windows 7
I
time
think
frame. That was already kind of a layer in between that you can do it, but you still need to acknowledge kind of
Yeah,
what access to the core of kind of certain permissions are. And I see some similar shift. That was of course 15-ish more years ago, but a similar shift in the core of like say let's say Windows happening at some point where agents and other workloads kind of transform in a way to what you said, going like process orientated permissions, like RBAC transforming into process or workflow kind of yeah, related permissions as well.
I can see a really complex thing for the sysadmins and the security people describing all these processes and just okay, they need this process needs this right at this stage of the process running, and then it needs different rights to do that stage of the process, and then it needs to kill. So there's going to be a lot of road mapping and also guiding how these flows work, and that I can imagine that there are a lot of security people listening thinking, ooh, that's going to make my life a little more complex.
Well, I think the beauty is, of course, sometimes you feel in, let's say, the IT industry that, hey, AI is taking my job away or something like that. But I feel that AI is making it even a better time to be alive right now as being in IT, because all these transformations you just called out are happening, and there need to be a team or a person that guides these end users or businesses through a secure way of doing it. And that's just a very exciting way of kind of doing things, in a new way, but still in the kind of same kind of benefit of the workflow, the workload as well. So it's an exciting time, and we're still kind of in that early kind of ramp up phase of mass adoption and usage of agents for things that we normally do with a manual kind of way of doing things. And it's it's super cool to see and be part of that as well, that motion. And as well, I just came off a customer call, seeing customers really like grinding as well, get their hands dirty, trying things out, do hackathons, POCs, all these things. So it's an exciting time to be alive in IT right now.
Yeah, that's what the same what we always say. It's the next big phase and the next big thing, and we're gonna ride this way for a couple of years before, and then it will keep evolving. So it's gonna be really interesting times. And I feel what you say when you said a lot of customers are grinding and are trying. We do a lot of POCs with customers with small processes using AI, making them better, showing them how they work, and then building it from there. And what you see is that these POCs are now slowly evolving into the first real workloads, that the POCs are coming to production now. And that's a cool first thing to see. Okay, we had an idea, we built it in AI, it works. All right, let's give it a go. Let's run it and then
Yeah,
see
and
what happens. And then, but getting everyone on board with it, especially in the security part, is still a big, complex thing sometimes.
well, that's the reason why you have all these different responsible AI processes as well, to kind of sometimes I feel that if you get too caught up in polishing and making everything exactly how it should be, and it's kind of with everything in life, but what you now see is customers really moving to a more like frontier kind of mindset, meaning that you're really cutting edge, you're trying things out, you grind kind of on the new innovation and see if it sticks, if it works, and if it doesn't work, you don't implement it further. And that's something I see happening a lot, and you probably can relate to that, is like customers start with a small use case, like narrow ring fence it a little bit, see if
Yep.
it works out, and then slowly go to the next kind of step there as well. And I think that's the beauty of all that innovation and all the different AI flavors out there, is that you have a lot of options to try too. So it's not like a one stop kind of one option, one opportunity. You can use different models, different systems. You can use Windows like Copilot Plus PCs, or now AI enabled Cloud PCs as well, to kind of really get the user kind of involved in AI from an edge AI kind of perspective. But of course, the big kind of massive kind of scale of opportunities sits more in the agents, as well as in transforming your existing workloads to become AI enabled and AI empowered, and that's just a transformation to guide customers through. Very cautious, but also don't too cautious, right? It's fine to take risks and take kind of certain things differently or implement it in a different way than you normally would do, and try that out. And it's fine to kind of go out of that comfort zone a little bit sometimes too.
Yeah, and what I also see is when a lot of EUC or IT projects are, we give you 40,000 euros and you have to fix this for me. And with this, we see, okay, we need a budget to build something, but we don't know if it will succeed. So the dare of the company to innovate it, to spend money not knowing exactly what the ROI will be, is something that a lot of companies need to get accustomed to just do it. And what we see is a lot of financially driven managers finding that a real big hurdle to take.
Yeah, it all starts with I feel getting, first of all, comfortable with embracing AI, and that's still sometimes and this is with other things in life as well. You're like, if you're resistant to change, or you're very control kind of orientated person, you don't want to change things quite often. And
And then AI is
industries,
not for you.
and then, I don't know, with the cloud and AI, it's changing. I see different verticals doing AI and SaaS faster than ever before in the last 5 to 10 years. So it's definitely not like the same as 10, 15, 20 years ago. But that's also coming into play. You don't want to take risk. I'm kind of protecting my budget, but I'm also asked kind of from my management to provide change in the business. So it's kind of that, hey, where do you kind of balance it? And also, I think a little bit of grace and mercy for, hey, I'm trying it and get credit for trying it and fail and then learn and then do it better. Also needs to apply there too. And it's the same in Microsoft, not different. We try things out. We do hackathons. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. And it's really like an exercise that is something that is kind of an evolution or a revolution of things that have been working for a long time the same. And if we don't try things out, it will not change. So you need to be a little bold and cutting edge here, as well as a mindset. And that's the whole reason why the whole frontier firm narrative in AI is existing. And these programs as well, like the frontier program at Microsoft, allows you to test features faster before they eventually go to GA.
Yeah, we were talking this on our previous episode. It was focused on shadow AI, and we were our guest Josh was talking about, basically he was saying we need this kind of mindset change from IT and security, that they can't be the department of no anymore, because employees are already testing out AI, and you need to kind of meet them where they are and actually be the enabler of new things like AI. So it's just it's not just a technology change, it's a cultural change for a lot of organizations as well. And I think that's why we'll probably see slower progress within enterprise than maybe on the consumer side.
Well, you also see that consumer and enterprise are very important to go hand in hand again in terms of these tools and such as well. Like in the last couple of years, or let's say decade, you saw a lot of, hey, everything is enterprise focused, but now you see kind of the shift of AI is being used as a consumer, and then they kind of bring it into the workspace, into the enterprise as well. And that's also something to be careful of, because the workloads and the amount of data you want to use for consumer based workloads is different, right? You don't want to kind of bring sensitive data from your company inside a consumer oriented AI tool, and then eventually your sensitive data gets kind of injected inside the model. And there are some cases of that, of course, too. So that's the part where companies, the data protection companies, or let's say the big data companies, are doing great work right now and really evolving the security layer of what we know of like threat management protection from back in the days, to really transform that into a shield for AI that protects you based on your prompts and the workload and all these things as well.
Yeah. No, I definitely get that. We've talked about this numerous times about, don't be getting NDA corporate information and uploading it to whatever public AI system you're using, because it's a recipe for disaster. So, but I think that the point is with this is kind of like employees are using it. So you can't just go in and now say, right, we're restricting the use of AI. You kind of have to go, okay, here's some guidelines. For example, anything that's NDA, do not upload it, and so on and so forth. And that kind of thing, you need to kind of foster people and help them along the journey and point them in the right direction, essentially, because they mightn't understand. Now, in fairness, most people should know not to get really sensitive stuff and upload it to public AI.
They should know.
They
but
should
they do.
know. They should know. So to focus a little bit more on Windows 365 and what AI and that. So in Copilot for Intune, what do you feel is kind of the first admin tasks that it will essentially replace?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think um, all the work that's currently being done in Intune, regardless of a cloud PC or physical PCs, is still pretty much in a phase where we really learn and go hand in hand talk with customers to see, hey, what do you want to see? And we recently just announced the E5 inclusion of the security copilot kind of feature. So that will definitely make it broader and more kind of available to IT professionals to kind of just try it out. You don't have to, of course, you need to be E5 entitled, but if you have E5, you're kind of completely on your own, like try it out if it's useful or not. But one of the things I see as being very useful is correlating data. So imagine you get a call from your service desk and they are saying, hey, we have a couple users complaining about performance issues. And you're like, okay, well, normally you would go to that user, click on that cloud PC, and then, hey, spiking of CPU or there's some process being kind of floating into the cloud PC, damaging the user experience. But with like AI and Copilot, you can just say, okay, correlate all the cloud PCs and check whether there's like a performance issue or spiking higher than X% of CPU, and summarize that for me. And then what happens is that all your cloud PCs and physical PCs as well will be pulled down, and you have like a very easy way to kind of pull that information. And normally you would have to deal with like Excel sheets or CSV
Yeah.
files or things like kind of do
Yeah.
it yourself. And probably this pretty much resonates with people doing this still. And I think that's the part where you can just be more effective. Like you don't have to do that repetitive task of clicking here, clicking there, correlate. And sometimes you also, um, I don't know, maybe as a IT professional, you have three things on your plate that are urgent. And with AI, you can just do something very fast and make sure, okay, this is working great. And that's the other part I see as a great value. But I would say like performance, measurement, detection, license correlation. We are working on new agentic kind of workloads as well, where you can do actual actions of like licensing, detection, allocation, provisioning, all these things as well. So pretty much just what you normally would do manually, but then completely automate, but still with you in control of performing these tasks as well.
Yeah, I think that's the important bit is like it gives you the data and then you determine what the course of action is and not that the agent goes off and starts, rebooting cloud PCs and stuff like that.
In the wild, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That would
that's
make
not
the service
happening.
desk be even more busy. But it would be awesome if there's a trigger and it would automate the fix to remediate the trigger, and you could just be notified there was an issue. I fixed it.
Yeah, and the other part I see AI being very useful is like imagine that we release a new feature in Intune or wherever it will be, and you don't know what it exactly is, and normally you will search on the internet and go search for hey feature X and then read it there, but just pulling information from like AI is also very useful. Explain the
Mm.
feature, what is it doing, things like that as well. And then based on your own knowledge as well, you can ask follow-up questions too, explaining it even deeper on what it is. And I think that's really the useful part of introducing yourself to kind of AI. And eventually, yeah, the process itself will evolve as well. So nobody exactly knows how we are transforming the AI kind of, let's say, chat experience on the side to eventually blend it inside the UI. And um, who knows, maybe the UI will change and then it becomes more like injected and infused in the existing flows and more like proactive as well. And things like that. I feel that that's, it's not like in there yet happening because the market and we really need to kind of get into the realm of the habit of using AI and using it as like that kind of assistant, kind of
Mhm.
human in the loop kind of flavor. But I feel that the next big step there in IT management and whether that's Intune or other kind of management consoles is really making the UI adaptive to how you want to see the UI as well, and really change it in a personal way to the end user. And we kind of internally already kind of do a lot of vibe coding and changing like UI and more like for brainstorming exercises and
Hmm.
such. So not really for external kind of consumption, but AI can make that happen. You can do a prompt, and then all of a sudden in like 30 seconds, you have a whole new management console in front of you based on your own needs, right? And I think that's super excited to see how that potentially in the future will evolve the way how we always have been very GUI centric to be more demand centric on what the exact use case is at that time as well.
Yeah. No, we've talked about vibe coding before, and I did an experiment once with one AI, and I created like a network monitoring app and sorry, Wi-Fi monitoring app while I was waiting for my plane to board. So it took me like 3 minutes, just a couple of prompts,
Yeah,
and we
it's
were talking
it's
about the
powerful
whole
but scary.
the whole concept of that accelerated prototyping. Not that that you can get from an idea to look at something in more detail in such a short space of time.
Yeah, it's almost like, I don't know, if you're used to code. I'm not an like avid coder myself, but I know a lot of people that are. It's almost like, I don't know, for folks that really like writing code, like almost like writing a language on a paper that know that very well. It feels almost like, I don't know, the part that I enjoyed always a lot becomes more easy to do, but the fun part is that it becomes much more scalable, and you can bring a lot of things more together, and you can change things on the fly without actually or go sit in between a computer that has all the software installed versus just go on your mobile phone and just open a website and just prompt it in there, and it just works for you. So it's I think the backends and everything, like how the cloud comes together with AI and everything just correlates, and all these microservices that you normally have to stitch together to make it work, all kind of disappears, and it all kind of floats into the vibe coding way. Or you also have terms like spec it. I'm not sure if you heard of that term. So you have a design spec, you create a whole doc, and you can even create it with AI, and then that doc is being used as like the starting point of building the code. So what we do a lot here at Microsoft is like, we create a design, and then the design is being worked on with like UX designers, and eventually when it's done, it goes to the developer team, and they eventually build the code. But it's even like, what if it could be that the first start of the prototype would be just, hey, that document is being uploaded into like, let's say a cloud or GPT based model kind of format, and then it creates the code or the first set of code for you already, and then the engineer can take it from there. And that are really cool things that I see happening. And I think the sky is the limit. I think that the challenges there are more like the legacy code that are still existing out there. So getting legacy code into the kind of new code format and having that all kind of working together, that's the part that still needs to kind of go through certain kind of evolutions, or let's say improvements,
Yeah.
for evolutions of apps into new way of configuring apps. But that's happening, and I see that going better and better.
Yeah, we were talking. What was it? Was it not last year? We were talking to Brian Madden essentially, and we were talking about how eventually, like you just kind of talk to the AI, and it would take actions with the apps. You wouldn't interact directly with apps anymore. It would all be through AI. And it does seem like that is where we're kind of heading with these things, is that kind of, we interact with the AI, and then the AI goes off and takes all the actions for us. So you know, apps are going to look a lot different in years to come, because they won't need to be, we won't need to interact with them. So, is it just like MCP servers talking to MCP servers, or some sort of some connection like that? So it's a direct connection from the AI to the application. So you don't need the kind of the user interface in the same way that you currently have it.
and voice as well. Like,
Yeah.
so right now you're still typing pretty much with like, let's say Copilot or a Claude or another
Mhm.
UI based format, right? Or the OpenAI based
Yeah,
version.
I keep
But
trying voice, and I can hear my own voice. It freaks me out. Like,
well,
yeah.
I think the part that really makes it useful is, I don't know how you do this, but if you're like walking in the park, sometimes you think about something, and if
Mm.
you don't write it down, you're like forget about it sometimes, right? So you
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
notepad on your phone and you kind of register it all. But what if you have your AI assistant always close to you and you can just talk, and then it actually does that directly for you, or it prepares that for you, and then it doesn't, like, you go straight into that brain kind of part of like thinking about it too, and evolving your thoughts to a better place, and eventually have that talk with AI and go back and forth and come to a better place. And I think that's the exciting part. That is, it's still not broadly accepted, let's say like that yet. That talking with, like, let's say your computer, and then your computer doing your thing. Like,
yeah,
imagine you have your Kua kind of cloud PC running in a data center, and then on your phone you talk with like Copilot, and then you ask certain tasks to finish, and then once you're done with your run, the task is done. And that are things that I see happening more and more. The technology allows to do so. It's more like the customers acknowledging and accepting that as a new routine in their day. That's
Yeah.
the kind of next big thing: the adoption, the governance, and all these other kind of evolutions of how we do things. Yeah, is needed for that too.
Yeah, and believing that it will save you time, and just making the mind shift to, okay, I'm going to run, and there's someone in the data center doing my job, and when I'm back, the document is finished. Feels strange, but it's the new reality that we are
It's
going to go
something
to.
to get
So
used to. It's the same with,
yeah,
like, if you look at electric cars and self-driving cars as well. Like 10, 15 years ago, everybody was like, I'm gonna not let my car drive for me. Like, what if something happens? And now in like San Francisco and other places, you have self-driving cabs. And
I
I
know.
have
I tried when I was at Ignite. I was trying to get a Waymo, but the app is geo locked. So I couldn't get I couldn't sign up for it. So I got one of my colleagues to do it on his iPhone, and it turned up a couple of blocks from where we were actually at. And then it said for the 40 seconds or 1 minute it says for, and then it left. And I'm like, no, it was kind of one of those things I wanted to tick off my bucket list when I was in San Francisco. But seeing as Ignite is in San Francisco next year, I will be able to try it there next year. So if it doesn't come to somewhere closer, I think it's supposed to be coming to London pretty soon. So we are seeing more, but it was so weird seeing seeing that kind of thing. Like, you're driving along in an Uber and you look to the side and there's a car going past and there's no one in the driver's seat. It's just a weird experience.
Yeah, I was in San Francisco 5 years ago, and then it was still in the early kind of stages, and that wasn't like, now it's working great, but that
Mm.
wasn't like, as evolution goes. Sometimes you still have these like small kind of bugs and such. So one of the funny thing that was happening is that the real cab taxi drivers in the city were like making it hard for the self-driving taxis. So they were like braking in front, or putting the flashlight on to go to a different direction and then change direction last minute. So they were kind of stress testing the autonomous taxis a little bit. But that's now in a much better shape. But that created sometimes cars that, I don't know, didn't know what to do anymore. Um,
imagine sitting in one of those cars when it doesn't know what to do. Just in the middle of an intersection.
Imagine what sitting in
Okay.
one of those cars when that power cut happened in San Francisco about a month ago. They just all shut down because there was a massive power cut in San Francisco. So it didn't seem like there was a redundant power in situ. So yeah, but yeah, no. Again, it's another evolution. We talked with a previous guest, and he talked about the whole autonomous driving thing, and he said it is such a complex thing because there's so many different variables. Like, you know, if it's, it could be dry 1 minute, then it starts raining. All of these kind of different variables. It goes from light to dark so quick. All of these, there's so many different things, and that's why it isn't mainstream yet, because it is just there's so many multiple of variables that have to be assessed and determined. So it's going in it's getting better, but it's not there
Yeah,
yet.
the part that I think us in IT we are very used to is that change doesn't happen overnight, and
Wow.
innovation the same thing, right? Like big chunks of revolutions happen in a cadence of years, sometimes decades as well. And sometimes you also see that if innovation goes too fast, it doesn't create adoption. But
Yeah.
sometimes if it waits a little longer, then people change a little bit how they are accepting certain things or use different things in their life, then it all of a sudden starts to kind of happen. And I think that's the same here. Like it needs to go in a certain pace. Things need to change over time, but also the people like us need to embrace it more and more to make the change happening and see kind of look at it optimistic as well what it can do for me versus being denominator, or like I don't know, let's say it push back on the innovation. Of course it's personal to everyone, how you do it, how you implement it in your day job, but I think trying it out, making it useful for you for the things that you're doing on a daily basis is a good starting point. Like how can AI help me? And I think the parts we talked about in the beginning, like summarization, going in a document. I don't know, you're sending to your CEO an update. And normally you go maybe 3 colleagues. What do you think? What do you think? Is this too
Yeah,
much?
yeah.
Is this too
Hmm.
And AI is like, I don't know, you can even give it certain style of executive briefing summaries, check it in the way of certain levels of the organization. And then you don't have to go to 3 colleagues, maybe to one. And then you're sending it, right? Like those things are really making AI very useful for everyone today. And I think that's already pretty much in a broad state in terms of adoption. But I do still see that some companies are not there yet, and that's the part of like advice that I always give. It's like try things out, see if it works, and don't be scared about it too. But of course, be sensitive on what you put in there as well. Don't use every tool out there. Use the ones that are acknowledged by your organization, by the people that you trust, and things like that. So my my daughter has now an own laptop as well. So she will turn 8 next week, and she's using AI for creating cat pictures, and I don't know, crazy pictures that are very funny, and she's loving it, and she's printing them out and put them on the wall in her room, and I don't know, I just love to see that because that's the new generation that will born and raised with AI and use AI in a way that you, I don't know, have a PhD kind of university degree in your back pocket. And I
Yes.
think that will be a big change that we don't know how it will look like, but it will make people that are creative and smart even smarter. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree on that. Like, my daughter's 12 and she has a condition called dyspraxia. So it means her fine motor skills, writing is quite difficult for her. So I feel like, she's going into secondary school now. So she could have potential to, talk to the AI and it transcribes what she says, or, you know, has a back and forth with her. So there's definitely implications within education that could be very beneficial for lots of individuals. So yeah, no, there's all different facets of this that we're seeing, and the evolution of things, and but I think you're right that we know firsthand that a lot of this stuff, it takes time. It's not going to be overnight that everyone is like, everyone's implemented AI and that. So a question we had was from one of our followers. So thanks to John Archibald for this question. But in cloud PCs, do you intend to allow companies the freedom to not enable AI features if they so wish, for maybe it's like your particular sector that don't want it? Are they on by default, or is it optional?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, again, thanks for sharing those questions as well. Um, so as part of the AI features, you have IT administrator controls to disable them or enable them in a way that you would prefer to do so. So, for example, with AI-enabled cloud PCs, which are infusing based on a cloud platform AI feature like improved search, click to do federated search inside a cloud PC, we made them default disabled, and you as an IT professional can just go in Intune into like the policy settings and then turn it on. Then you are completely free for testing it out, rolling it out in the way you would like to, and that's the way how I see how you can best kind of give the controls to an IT professional to try it out, and you're completely free as well to disable or like remove certain layers of that too. But from like Windows Cloud, we did it explicitly like that. So you can go and disable it by your own needs and try it out with a certain group of people in your environment. So I hope that that answers the question. Of course, you for certain AI like Copilot, you need to be entitled as well.
Mhm.
So in order to use it, you need to have a Copilot subscription. So if you are an IT professional, you most likely see that coming as part of a license implementation you will do, and then can do a phased rollout the same way as what you can do with AI enabled cloud PCs. Um, it's a as you said, it's a personal pace per organization, per user,
Mhm.
per business. And how that best works is trying things out, but as well create company initiatives. Like I sometimes remind myself of like the evolution of Office or Exchange to Exchange Online. At that time, we had people in the organization that were like helping other people in the organization with implementing these tools. Like there's adoption teams, or there were people like in businesses that were like educated to educate others and create groups of trainings to help people to navigate through. I foresee that is happening more and more, like how to use AI, how to implement AI, but how to use AI as part of what you did before to do it in the day of tomorrow. That's something I will see more and more happening, and expect probably this year and next year to come more in like larger organizations to really help people. Like, of course, if you're like between 20 30 and 30 40, or like 50 60 60 70, there are different ways of like how you should approach people on how they have been doing things in their life and how much attention they need in order to achieve things. And the digital revolution is not different from that, I think. Like 20 years ago, we still had ATMs connected to a bank office, and then you go in the bank office for a new I don't know, loan or whatsoever, and it was a person always there waiting for you. I don't know how it is in Ireland. In Netherlands, I know, but
Oh,
there's
no, no,
almost
no,
no.
most of our bank branches have closed and everything's online.
Yeah.
There's but I get your point, and that's a really good point. I think is because obviously that had impacts for older people who were used to doing it. So I think, as you're right, when organizations adopt technologies like AI, there has to be a kind of an approach where they go, well, how how are we going to implement this for whatever X employee, and as you said, different age groups adapt to technology differently and all that. So I think I think you're definitely going to see, you have things. It'll probably be some sort of offshoot of like HR or something like that, because, or s it seems that's kind of a good fit for it. But yeah, I definitely think you're going to have kind of these kind of engagement or adaption kind of teams within organizations to kind of drive through, because we all know, we've done major enterprise projects, we all know how it goes. If you don't, you won't get adoption. You have to do these things, you have to do training, you have to do awareness, all of these kind of things need to be done within organizations. One of our previous guests, he was telling us before that one of the projects he was doing, he got one task which was really mundane and boring. Everyone hated it, and he automated it with AI, and it drove the adoption levels through the roofs because that fear factor was removed. So it just made such a difference because they were like, oh, this is actually advantageous to me, not a threat to me. So complete change in mindset just by getting rid of that one really mundane form.
It's about the what's in it for me. That's
It's
users always want to know what's in it
it's
for
always
me.
about
All
that.
change, what's in it for me? Why should I change? What am I going to benefit? If there's no benefit, I'm not changing.
Yeah.
No, you're spot on. Like AI needs to help you in something, and you should not use AI because it's AI, and that's 100% accurate. And I think the part that, like, going back to that, hey, different age groups and certain people, and as well like evolutions. I think the benefit of AI compared to like the move to the cloud and the digital kind of transformation of everything goes to like
Oh,
the
it's far bigger. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's much bigger, but it's also much different from, like, you just call it an older person that cannot go to the bank, for example, anymore, and now all of a sudden needs to call, and then I don't know, people are just
Mm,
feel like left out, right? And I think
mm,
the benefit of AI is that AI can actually train, um, like the AI can be trained on the person on the other side. So imagine that, like for example, my dad is having is blind, and he's trying things out. He has been using narrators on his phone to kind of navigate to the phone and all these things. But imagine that he can just talk with a glass, like the one from Meta is one perfect example, but there are more coming. That you can just talk and explain what's in front of him or what's on his letter, right? And previously has been doing a lot of, I don't know, different monitors, but Zoom functionality and all these things.
mm.
But I think the same for, hey, I'm an old person, I cannot use this bank app anymore. Can you help me? And I think an AI can transform or explain that in the way that that user would like to know more or learn about that too, versus waiting in a call center line for 10 or 20 minutes. And then, I don't know, that's the wrong
Yeah,
department. So you get
yeah,
passed through to the other department again. So,
yeah.
so I think
Yeah,
there are a
yeah.
lot of benefits that are still in the early stages, and HR is another perfect example you just called out. Like self-service now capabilities that have been around for a while, transforming to, yeah, call center based AI enabled, voice over kind of enabled experiences that
Mm.
are doing that explicitly to the ask that you're having.
Yeah, and you could also say for your dad, the AI talking him through it, but you could also ask the AI to do it. What if the AI could control his bank thing for him and say, "Check my bank balance, please," and it will give him back the bank balance. That would
Exactly.
also be an enormous benefit for them to function in the society. All those small things.
Yeah, and for some extent, it's also like, hey, how do you make somebody that is not used to it as well? And that's the part of the getting into the habit of a person, and as well be open for change as well, and that other things that I think are key in order to, yeah, make AI being useful for everyone, right? Like, be open for change and be open for the change that you think is useful at that time, and explore and keep going, because yeah, that train is coming up fast. And um, we all know what's possible right now, but if you look back in 2 years from, like, 2 years from now, it might be completely different. So we're kind of still in the midst of kind of the transformation.
Yeah. No, I I agree, and I think that's a good place to kind of end on because there is we don't know what's coming. Myself and Gurjan did predictions last year. AI browsers weren't even on there, but yet they've come out of nowhere and they have huge potential, go good and bad, as we've discussed before. But yeah, it's an evolution that's happening so quickly. So we can't really predict what's coming in the future, um, too much. So, Christian, it's been an absolute pleasure. So, thank you very much for being on the podcast. We really appreciate it. And it's been really great to get your insights into what's going on with Windows Cloud and, AI in general. So, yeah, thanks very much. And we will see everyone on the next episode.